Good evening, everyone. This is Toyin. You may still call me Coach Toyin. I'm here to talk about why taking risks is important for self development and success. So, welcome to my live show. If this is your first time ever, welcome to those on Clubhouse and those on YouTube and other channels as well. Thank you for being here. So, if you're not familiar with my daily live shows, Mondays through Thursday, really what I bring to the table and for discussion is really life and business strategies, really taking your business and life, right? Improvement to the next level. That's really what we're about here. So, it's about disrupting the status quo to in pursuit of a greater future, greater opportunities in life and in business. So that's really what we'll be covering on the show. So I invite you to be on this journey with us. I say us because I see Miss Christy here. Every time I see her in the room, I'm super excited. Um, a Jazz says, what is today's topic? Yeah, today's topic is why taking risks is important for self-development and success. Okay, so that's a great question. Today's topic, we're talking about risk taking because it's not easy. Taking risk, I have to admit, taking risk is not what we want to do. We fight it. We fight it. But what I want to talk about is that without risks, you're going nowhere. Actually, you're going to stay where you are. That's what I want to break down today. Because the most successful people that I've engaged with, they are big time risk takers. The bigger the risk, the bigger the potential of reward. And really, also, it goes both ways. So, as example, just in real life, right? Yesterday we were all reading in the news, Elon Musk, going purchasing Twitter for 44 billion. That is massive risk taking. Massive. But how did he get there? That's not the first risk. That's probably the biggest risk he's ever taken in his life. But if you look at him, he's been a risk taker. So while we are quick to celebrate greatness and those who are disrupting the world and transforming the world and all of those things, we need to take a moment and say, how did they get there? What did they do? What decisions did they have to make? What investment did they have to make in themselves for them to be able to engage in such risk taking, right? Everything he does is all about risk. Trust me. Nobody gets to that level without taking sizable risk and banking on themselves and other people even banking on them, right? So I'm going to break that down is that success requires risk taking. Boom. Right? Success requires risk taking. Why? If what you want to go after, if what we want to achieve does not look like where we are or what we're doing today, we have to reach for it. We have to stretch for it. And that requires us to disrupt where we are and who we are. Two things: where we are and who we are. The person that we are today may not have the capacity to pursue the greatness or the success we desire. Again, the person that you are today may not have the capacity. And capacity could be resources, knowledge, network, expertise, skill, right? Capacity is not just one dimension. Capacity to grow, this is where personal self-development is what helps you to increase your capacity. Okay? So it just says when talking about risk, what does it mean? You mean taking decisions without assessment? No. You've heard about calculated risk, right? So this is not without assessment. Even with assessment, it's making a decision where the outcomes is not guaranteed, where you don't know the outcomes and the outcomes is not guaranteed. That's what I mean by risk taking. And as simple as yes, I do. When you say yes, I do to someone that says, will you marry me? When you say, yes, I do, you are taking a risk. Why? Because you cannot guarantee the outcomes of that relationship, of that marriage. You cannot. That's life for you. But in the moment, you make a decision because you believe that's the right decision for your future. Okay? So just to correct that, AJS, this is not about making decisions without assessment. Listen to me. If somebody says, will you marry me? You better go and do deep research and look. And I always say, open the trunk of that fella. What junk are you carrying, fella? Because so this is not, you have to, so risk taking is not being naive. Please, I'm not asking anybody to foolishly jump into anything, any business, any decision. No, 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 no. Please, Coach Toyin doesn't, I do not certify that. My point is, there are decisions that we have to make in life that is connected and required for us to achieve the success that we desire. That's my point. That we have to make decisions every day, and there might be small decisions, there might be big, there might be sizable, but decision making is part of life, right? And it just says capacity is real issue. Well, capacity is not just the issue. In my program, the game plan, 12 strategies for winning. So let's get in the interaction. I love the interaction. So thank you, Ijaz. Ijaz, I hope I said your name well. So let's start that interaction. So he said, is capacity the real issue? When we feel it means we are lacking in capacity. Okay. I think this is your first time of catching up on my show, because this conversation has been building up over weeks. Okay. So in my program, the game plan, 12 strategies for winning, that you can actually access at the Business and Leadership Academy, the real issue is multidimensional, but it starts with desire. Desire. What do you want? Listen, Elon Musk has a sizable desire. He wants Twitter. That's his desire, his hunger. Whatever is foiling that hunger, you and I may not be. We are seeing the outcomes of his desire and how his appetite is. People who have strong appetite for success, they will take a big bite of the world. The smaller your appetite, the smaller what you're conquering in the world. The bigger your appetite, the bigger you're going after. Now, where capacity comes in, is that you may be longing or lusting after something you cannot attain because you may not have the relationship, you may not have the backing, financial backing, you may not have the knowledge, intelligence, skill to pursue what you are dreaming about. That's where capacity comes in. Okay? So, the way you increase capacity is through self-development. So, I'm connecting the dots. First is desire. Do you even want this? What do you even want? You want to go become a doctor. That's desire. To function as a doctor effectively, you need capacity, you need education, you need skill. Go and enroll and spend the next 6-7 years of your life, developing your capacity to become a medical doctor or a neurosurgeon or a pilot. You see my point? But if you keep dreaming, you can dream all you want to become a doctor. The world will never recognize you as a medical doctor, because guess what? You've not paid the price. You've not taken the risk. You've not developed capacity. You cannot function at a level that you've not developed capacity to hold on to. Okay? That's where capacity ties in, is that personal development is how you increase your own internal capacity to handle whatever it is you want. For example, business development. Who wants to be a millionaire? Who wants to be a billionaire? Do you have the capacity? Have you developed the capacity to pull it off? That's the question of the day. That's the question of the day. Risk taking is multidimensional. There are certain risks and certain decisions we have to make. One, to invest in ourselves. Here's the decisions that many people, it's easier to make. Every single day when you spend money as a consumer, you're taking risks. So, for example, here in the US, if you want to buy a house, you don't have the financial capacity to go out there and pay cash. What do? You're going to take a risk on yourself, on the believability that you have the capacity over 30, 15, 10 years to pay what it takes to buy the dream house. So you hunger and test and long for a fancy house. Yes, you hunger and thirst and right for a nice car, BMW, Tesla. Fantastic. Do you have the financial capacity to buy it cash? If the answer is no, you're going to take a risk, go to a bank, they will make you sign that you will pay up this, right? And then you go, you acquire, and then you're living large. And then little by little, you're paying it up. That's a consumer mindset of risk taking. That same dimension is required for business development. This is where consumer versus producer. Consumers will take risk for what they want to consume. Producers will take risk to build their business. The same thing consumers are doing to buy a car, to buy a house, to buy Louis Vuitton, consumer cards, credit cards, consumer mug, right? The same level of risk every single day. We in business, the same thing. Elon Musk doesn't have 44 billion in his account. You better know that. He used his shares in Tesla as collateral. You better know. This is what people need to understand. He doesn't have $44 billion in his account. But guess what? He's bankable. His appetite is absolutely bankable. So the same consumer mindset that people use to buy house, car, nice things. I'm saying even in business and success, business stakeholders go to the bank the same way, bringing their business plan, their business idea, and saying, I want to take a risk on this idea. The outcomes is not guaranteed. Trust me. Even when you take a loan for a house, do you know what's going to happen to that job you are sitting with? No. So the outcomes are never guaranteed, but taking no risk is you get nothing. And the Bible tells us even stories like this. The woman that didn't have nothing, he had debts, his wife, her husband, all of that. Guess what? Guess what happened? The prophet came and said, go and borrow vessels. Take risks. You will return it back. But take this risk that by my word, if you obey what I'm asking you to do and put it all together, right? Guess what's happening? Guess what's happening? We will do certain things, we will sell it, and then we will pay back, right? That's a mindset. But again, many people don't realize what's happening behind the scenes. So let me open this up for discussion here on Clubhouse. Miss Chrissy, did it get hot a little bit here or what? Are you still with us? Go on.
Oh yeah. Once again, this is a topic that is something I need to hear because I've always wanted to know the end result before I did something. So I took very little risk and I tried to go the tried and true road until I started this business. Everything I've done previously, like growing up, I was always obeying and following the rules, and risks were not encouraged in my household. So to unlearn that in business, there was a saying that I heard that really unlocked something for me, and it was, if it scares you to do it scared. And I never thought of that before. Like, you can do something, as you say, calculated for sure, minimize the risk, but do it through every emotion that you have, just so you can get to the other side of realizing that it's not going to kill you, hopefully. That's what it is. Not set out to kill you. So yeah, I've done it, and then I also get scared again because now there's something new, and so having to repeat that is exhausting.
And it gets bigger. Here's the way life also works. You're supposed to be, we are all supposed to be practiced in risk taking. It's like faith. Faith is risk taking in God, banking on God that God will see us through. I hope people realize that when even God says you cannot walk with God without faith. Without faith, it is impossible to please God. That he who comes to him must believe that he exists and is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. We are, for those of us that are believers, God is saying to walk with me. I want to take you places you cannot see, you cannot understand. That is, you don't within your consciousness. It says, eyes has not seen what he has planned for you. You can't, it's not in your consciousness. The journey he wants you to go on. So only your belief in his ability to get you to the destination. That's the only thing that you can work with him on. You cannot work with him on guaranteed outcome. The only guarantee is that he will do what he said he will do for you. And that is enough. God is saying that should be enough for you to take that step. That's what I know. This is like I'm touching some very, you know, I know. This is not easy, guys. I know. Trust me. When that man comes, will you marry me? Particularly in this condition, you're like, hey, what am I, man? Right? I've been married now, is it 16, whatever years, right? So it's I'm just trying to say, let's start getting comfortable disrupting ourselves. Because that journey requires us to make more and more and more and more disruptive decisions. But when we are holding on to the current and we don't want to let it go, what's happening? If you are single, then stay single. But the moment you desire to be married, it's a risk. Guaranteed, it's a risk. But you have to trust that it's the best decision for you. And you have to commit to invest yourself in it. Right? So, Mr. Ajez is feeding us some interesting comments and questions and thoughts. Let me share this one. Oh my gosh. This one is so good. You said, for example, I'm pulling it up here. You said, for example, your desire is to set up a company that can progress, like I believe McDonald's, all over the globe. Okay. Is it a desire or is it wishful thinking? If it is desire, how can I turn this desire into reality? Oh, you're feeding. I love that question. Okay, you want to know the truth. You are a seeker. I love seekers because seekers can hear the truth. Non-seekers, they don't want to hear the truth. This is what I would say. I always encourage us to dream big. Dream big as far as you can. In fact, God also did that to, was it Abraham? He wanted him to expand his vision. He took him to the shores and said, can you count the stars? Can you count the sand? Well, you can't count it, but guess what? I can count it. And that is the volume of blessing I have for you. Because you actually have to disrupt your own limiting beliefs to really pursue greatness. We have to. We have to disrupt everything, all the stories that tells us we cannot. So I'm not from the school of thought that says you cannot do A, B, C, D. But my point, what I will raise is, let your moves match your intention. If you tell me you're breaking ground and you want to build a 130-story building, you better make sure the foundation that you're laying can hold that dream and aspiration. Make sure your moves match your intention. That's one. Number two, count the cost. Bible said it. If you're going to build a house, count the cost. The cost of a 1-story building versus a 100-story building is different. Okay? the energy, resources, sleepless nights, whatever it's going to take to build a one-story building. The one person building a one-story building, in boom, 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 done. Roof, they move into their house. You that you want to build a skyscraper, you are still there 1 year. How many months does it take you to dig the foundation of your life? Self-development. The person who that life is going to be built on, how strong is that person? You, right? That person, that this massive responsibility, Elon Musk, that is now going to be responsible for Twitter, right? How strong is he? Does he have the capacity to take on Twitter? Yes, we will say yes today. But 20 years ago, Elon Musk 20 years ago, could he have pulled this off? No, absolutely not. Okay? So get to work developing yourself so that 15, 20 years from now, that massive whatever you talked about, you have the vision to build, restaurants to go global. That's a dream that you have. Build the person that will build that dream. Build the person that will build that future. Because, like I shared, the person that you are today, if you could do it today, you would have done it. That person does not have the capacity, and you know that. Self development is saying, I want to do this. But being aware, awareness and perspective, this is where the game plan 12 strategies for winning in life and business comes in, is clarity of where you are, where you're going, the gap. Where you are, where you want to be, the gap. And yesterday I talked about where you should be, or 2 days ago, where you ought to be, where you should be, right? Right. So if you say you are going to London and you need to catch a train, if you miss the train, you miss the opportunity. So there are some places, there's some dynamic places, there's some dynamic relationship that you should be establishing now that would actually support that future you're designing. That's another rule of success. You think Elon Musk can be dreaming, I want to buy Twitter. The relationship he has with banks and financing companies and investors came together to make his desire happen. And if he doesn't have that relationship, he can dream all he wants. Nothing is happening. You want to go to space? Go now. Right? So the relationship Elon Musk has to the deep pockets of the world, in a moment, he pulled together $44 billion. If you want to open a store, can you pull together 1 million? Can you make a call? Dun, 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 dun. I need $1 million. I have this thing I want to do. I want to build this. I want to build it. And oh, sure, sure, we'll get it to you. Welcome, Miss Toy. Yeah, come meet us. Let's set up. Do you have that? So if you have $1 million dream, build the person. Okay, build the person, self-development that can implement that. If you have $1 billion dream, build the $1 million person that can pull that off. So that's how I will respond. And I want to open it to anybody else that want to really contribute to this, because this is very important. I try to make it as practical. It's a conversation. I'm teaching what I know, what I've seen, what I've observed. Is that at the end of the day, take risk on yourself first. Take risk on yourself first. Right? Take risk on yourself first, because that's the most important value to that future. You are the one to drive this car. You will drive yourself to that place where you need to get to. You will get yourself to that journey. I see you, Pastor Cornelius, on Clubhouse. Come on up. I won't let you stay unless you are not available to speak. Pastor Cornelius, come on up. This is my co-host for my Thursday program on Instagram. Pastor, how long have you been here?
I just got here. I've been here about 5 minutes. That's it.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, today is a hot topic. Why taking risks is important for self-development and success. Okay, that's what we're talking about today. Is this idea that who we need to be, who we are going to be to do the things we want to do, right? We need to take risk on that person. And at the end of the day, there are certain risks that are consumer risk, meaning you want a house, there are banks ready to, right, take a risk on you and believe in you that you pay up over the next 15, 30 years. That's the level of consumerism. Like, you want it, you work for it. There's another side when I talk about the producer mindset, where you want it, you want that business, you want that investment, you will invest, right? And the level of investment you are ready to make naturally matches the potential reward. In fact, there's something I help my clients to do. I call it the risk reward ratio, right? If you're entering a new market, if you're doing something new, if you're opening a new business, right? What's your appetite for risk? High risk, high reward, high risk, low reward, low risk, high reward, low risk, low reward. There's a certain mindset strategy you need to also implement that is heavily driven to your appetite for risk. And one thing in life is that the higher the risk, or should I say, the higher the potential of reward, what I have found is that the level of risk also matches, they correspond, right? So if you want to build an hotel and you do the business planning and you look at how much it's likely to generate for you the next 5, 10 years, then people will go, okay, I can invest the next 2 years. I can actually find, go to the bank, finance, invest, build a building, invest the next 2 years, okay, because I anticipate by that year 3, year 4, year 5 will start generating income. It's risk. Unfortunately, even farming principle is risk taking. You have a seed in your hand, okay? Instead of eating it and feeling good, consuming it like the consumer mentality, right? You have the seed, eat it up, feel good, look good, smell good, all of that. Well, the risk taker, the producer, the farmer, the entrepreneur looks at the same seed and says, God, I believe in the principle of sowing and reaping, that if I plant this little thing in my hand, faith as small as a mustard seed, okay? The faith, believability, desire. This desire, if I plant it, if I sow it, right? What did Jesus say? A grain of corn cannot multiply unless it falls to the ground, die off, and then new life comes out, and the new life is always greater. This is simple. It's for those that are believers. Let's go back to practical believing, right? Let's go back to practical faith. God also said, without faith it is impossible to please God, because we must believe in the principles that God has laid out for life. Success, I say, success is available to those who practice this principle. Success is for everybody. Look at it, Genesis 1. The blessing of success is on all creation. Some will practice the principle, reward. Some will not practice the principle, and then we say, oh, what happened? Be fruitful, be multiply, replenish the earth. It's a principle, it's a blessing. He didn't say Elon Musk. God didn't call out anybody's name. You know why? It is a blessing of every person that he has created. Your potential, the seed, right? The seed of an orange, the potential is in that seed. But if you don't plant the seed, if you don't risk it, it will not give birth to the highest dimension of a tree. And he says, it shall be a tree, and the birds of the air will take solace in it. I know preacher Toyin is mixed with strategist Toyin, with life coach Toyin. You get it all with technologist Toyin. You get it all today. I'm mixing that pot. For a long time, I tried to compartment. No. I'm bringing it all together. Preacher Toyin, minister Toyin, coach Toyin, technologist, business coach, everything, you get it today. Okay? There are life principles that if you want to be successful, you have to adopt, you have to practice. And when you don't, you get what you get. And those who do, believer or not, we are seeing them. Risks is one of those. Believing that the future, the glory of the latter shall be greater than the former. If you believe it, what are you willing to do to pursue? And the Bible also talks about really those who decide that they don't want to fight the giant. The giant is too big. The challenges are too great. The barriers between you and what God is laying before you are like, back out. We have stories of the Bible, Israelites. The promised land was theirs for the taking. They were right there. All they had to do was decide and risk fighting. Fighting for what was already theirs. And they did not want to fight. And guess what? God was like, I can't work with that. Like these folks, they can't work with me. Let us take them back, make them circle the rest of their life. Maybe their children will come out with a different mindset. You see? Right? Without faith, you can't please God. Faith is if God says that business is yours, that company is yours, you're going to be the governor, you're going to be the mayor. But guess what? What you don't understand is the work you have. Everybody will say yes, yes, yes. What you need to also see the capacity to fight for it, to invest for it, to risk for it. That's why David is incredibly important. David will swallow that Goliath, the lion, the bear. David was that warrior, and he got him there. That's another topic we talked about earlier. Was it this week? Was it Monday? Where I talked about your next level. Go and catch up with that on my YouTube. When I talked about the next level, your next level is connected with certain things you will have to do. It doesn't just happen. You have to grow capacity. You have to be positioned. You have to be there to really attain. So, Pastor Cornelius, any reaction? We have a pastor in the house, guys. Let him break it down for us.
Listen, you've done a marvelous job. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
You've done a marvelous job. I will say this about risk. Risk with strategy. Risk plus strategy gives you the wisdom to pursue success. Yeah. When you take risk, risk never looks backwards. Risk always looks forward. So in order to take a risk and look forward, you're going to have some type of strategy in place. As simple as, how did the chicken cross the street? He took a risk. Something as simple as that. But he saw himself on the other side of the street, and that strategy gave him wisdom. Even in the experience of him taking the
Pastor, hold on. You talked about the chicken crossing the street. Here's what typically happens. People stay where they are and say, if I cross, a car may crush, right? That is true, but the strategy comes in. You would make sure you turn, you look right, you look left, and make sure there are no cars, right? Otherwise, you never cross the street of life. Yes, cars can, right? Cars can do all the other things. But if you tell a story about the car versus the story of what is ahead, the story of failure keeps people bound. You will never cross that street. You won't cross the next street because of the story. Versus, okay, I need to be careful. I need to turn right. I need to turn, look right, left. Make sure there are no cars, and then tread cautiously. And guess what? I'm on the other side. That's what I also talk about capacity. Is that to get to the other side of life, there's risk involved. To climb Mount Everest, you don't just show up climbing Mount Everest, right? You don't just show up climbing Mount Everest. You will prepare, you will gain capacity, which is why on Monday I also talked about the virgins, the story of the 10 virgins, the ones who carried oil and didn't carry oil. Is that you will advance, but like Pastor is saying, with strategies that will help you cross to the other side. You don't go blindly, right? So anyway, part of the strategies is why I actually created like the Business and Leadership Academy, to give people strategies to build the next level, to take their business to the next level. So I do know, I will not tell you, oh, go build a business, it's easy. No, I'll tell you that stuff, build the capacity, knowledge, expertise, and skill needed to pull it off. That's capacity expansion. Go on, and Pastor Cornelius. I know I just totally jumped on your your analogy about the chicken crossing the road. Thank you, sir.
No, no, I'm going to piggyback off what you just said because the capacity and the knowledge that comes with the strategy, the risk that we take yields a reward. Listen, even if we fail at it several times, Kentucky Fried Chicken, we know it's better known as KFC. He had failed so many times until he got it right. So even in learning and watch this, sometimes enjoying the journey, even in failure, can be a plus if we learn how to build on the capacity, the knowledge, the skill set. Because here's what I learned about me failing in life. My failures made me work harder.
Wow.
Or made me work it. My failures honed my focus.
Ooh.
If that makes it brought my focus. When we lost the game in sports, okay, I'm going to, instead of me running 10 times, I'm going to run 15 times. So my focus, my capacity, my resilience, my watch this, my personal development became greater in my awareness. And strategically, the next time I played my opponent, I was strategically putting myself in position to win.
Exact, because, Pastor, your desire to win, you needed to, the person that would win or get you what you had desire for needed to be developed. Right? So that person that can actually win the race of life, that person that can actually win the game against a stronger opponent needs to be trained and coached to overcome opposition. That's what you're saying. Is that if you get into a boxing ring and you want to get that trophy, the win, like in the game plan, module 2, adopt the mindset of a champion. What do champions want? What do they eat? How do they prepare? That's from the game plan, my leadership and success mindset program. Module 2, module 1 is clarity, activate clarity. Module 2, adopt the mindset of a champion. So if you want to win in life, if you want to be successful, the person that would have the capacity to knock out the opposition in order to win, to attain, to enter the promised land, that person must be developed. That person must be invested in. That person must exercise. That person must wake up in the morning, show up, prepare for that game. Right? That person that will build the multi-billion-dollar business must show up with multi-million-dollar mindsets, ideas, and capacity, and rigor and discipline. You don't, it's just a pipe dream. Like Mr. Ed just said, it's a pipe dream if you don't want to do the work. We're going to win the game. Yeah, Pastor, right? It's a pipe dream. It is a pipe dream if we're not ready to work for it. Oh, I'm going to beat Muhammad Ali. Try it. If you want to beat Muhammad Ali, you better be greater and be more disciplined than he is. Otherwise, it's just talk. It's just talk. That's, I think, yes, sir.
Coach,
yes, sir.
It's interesting that the
risk
comes with loss.
Ooh.
LOSS and LOST. The risk comes with both. Because if I am going to gain the capacity of winning or having a champion mindset, I can't sleep to 10 o'clock. I can't sleep to 11 o'clock and think I'm going to meet the investors on Wall Street that run the world. Like my behavior is going to have to change even with the risk.
Yeah. Pastor.
Because I know now. Go ahead. Go
No,
ahead.
no, no. Go on, go on. You and I, we flow, we flow.
That's the problem with why a lot of people can't embrace change because they get stuck between. Listen, I said it there on my morning program this morning. They get stuck between making it an option or making it an action. This is not an option. Touring your Missouri could have stayed in Nigeria, whatever, but that wasn't an option. In order for her to become who she is, she had to take action. And the action she took blessed her, benefited her, and has built her brand. But just think if Tolan would have stayed in her nice, comfortable life in Nigeria, we wouldn't be having this conversation today. She took action. A lot of people don't want to take action because action requires risk.
Right, Pastor. And the main loss, really, we lose who we were. That Toyin is gone. Right? The Toyin 5 years ago is not the Toyin. The real loss is we lose the comfort of, and then we gain the next level version of us. It's an upgrade. It's just like, Microsoft's operating system. Personal development is how we upgrade the human mind to function at another capacity, the next level. And it requires us to delete and install a new way of being and a new outlook on life. That's the ultimate, that's the power of self-development, is that you're going to see the world differently. Your mindset will shift. You're going to disrupt old patterns. You're going to be creating new ones. And that version of you can now pursue and attain new opportunities in life and will be rewarded differently. Right. And this is constant. It's never ending, because I had shared a story, and I want to welcome Mr. Keats. Let me let him talk before I go on. Keats, welcome again. I know you and we went on yesterday.
Thanks for the ping. I have a little nudge when it comes to failure, because we really just have been taught the wrong narrative when it comes to failure. If you take the word fail and turned it into an acronym, F period, A period, I period, L period, and define it as first attempt in learning, the first letter of that phrase, because that's what it is. And the neuroscience from Andrew Huberman, who is one of the leading neuroscientists scientists at Stanford around human behavior. The studies show that we need failure in our life to actually learn and grow. And there's actually a magic number around 15%. We'll never hit the target exactly, but if we have about 15% failure, we actually switch on circuits in our brain that motivate us to move through it and learn and grow. We aren't taking the risk that we're staying in our comfort cocoons where we're successful or 100% successful in everything. We're just executing what the brain already knows and what our biology already knows. But when we take risk, we have the opportunity to expand and grow and evolve. So I found that interpreting of failure, first attempt at learning, goes a long way for changing the narratives and mindsets that we have, that it's somehow a deficiency or a moral failure or personal failure in some inadequacy in some regard.
Oh, wow.
When we fail, and it's necessary for us to grow and become all that we're capable of becoming as humans.
Absolutely. And in fact, like if you were to read my part of my profile on Clubhouse, I just put a couple of sentences there, and one of the last, I think last or second to the last, was this idea of learn fast or fail fast, because this then brings to bear this idea that we need to be life learners, right? That every single day, if we know that life, the world is here to teach us what we need for our journey. We will be approaching life every day as a student of life. A student of life. Because even in entrepreneurship, when I teach business and leadership at the academy, right? Part of what you just said, Kit, is that I say first time entrepreneur make a lot of assumptions. And only when you test out your assumptions is when the market will tell you you were wrong. Right? Third time, fourth time entrepreneurs do a better job. Why? They apply the lessons. So the first attempt of entrepreneurship is the school. So if you don't go to school to become a lawyer and you are attempting to operate as a lawyer, you will learn your way. You will learn on the job. You will have to learn on the job. And because you don't know what you don't know, you will fail and make tons of mistakes. But here's the power of education and school is that schools represent the collective lessons that those that failed have put together that will help you succeed so that you don't repeat their mistakes. So if you want to become a doctor, a surgeon, the lessons you're going to learn in school will tell you the people that have operated on human cadaver and bodies over the last 50, 100 years, the collective intelligence, their collective intelligence is what is being presented in medical school. So that you don't have to go and open your own brain, open your own heart and start learning how does the heart, where should I put the needle? So that you don't have to fail. You will fail at it. If you didn't go to medical school and they give you a body and you start, you will fail. You will fail because you don't know what you're doing. The reason for education, the power of education, the reason we send people to school is because we don't want them to fail. We want them to learn. And education gives you mastery. And when you attain mastery, you will not fail again. Until you attain mastery of entrepreneurship, until you attain mastery of the discipline that you want to operate in, you will fail until you attain mastery. Until you master flying a plane, you will keep crashing. You will crash the plane because you don't know how to fly it. And there is risk involved in surrendering ourselves to be taught for opening our hearts to new knowledge. Because I say, education exposes us to new information, new knowledge that is outside of us. And when we acquire the new knowledge, if we can apply it and learn new skills, and we'll keep learning, perfecting, okay? And when we perfect that skills, we can participate in new opportunities. And when we participate in new opportunities, guess what? We can be rewarded differently. So as example, just in practical ways, I want to become an accountant. Foo, do you know debit and credit, profit and loss, cash flow, all of these terms, amortization, all this? Do you know it? No, you don't. It means you cannot be rewarded as an accountant. You cannot become a chief financial officer. That's what it means, because you've not acquired the knowledge and you've not practiced the skill. So you cannot participate in the opportunity that being a financial officer will bring for you, the reward, the money, right? The financial reward of being a CFO of a company, of a global company. You have automatically excluded yourself from that opportunity and the potential reward. Why? You didn't go to school to study accounting. You didn't become certified in whatever that field requires. You didn't practice 20 years of experience. You didn't show up to your association meeting. You didn't do continuing education practices that is required of the profession, on and on and on. And because you didn't do all of those things, you cannot say you can't participate. You can't say, you can't show up and say, reward me as a chief financial officer. What? 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 No. The world is fair, people. You want to become a doctor and you want to be rewarded as a doctor. Do what doctors have to do. They will read. They will have to embody all the knowledge, the collective knowledge of those that have gone ahead of them, the instructors that are there to teach them. The checks, they check you in a controlled environment. You go for, what do they call it? You go in under the leadership of an experienced doctor. You will test out your bedside manners. You would attempt to do it, and they will be there to correct you. No, no, yes, no. And when they feel that you are ready to be by yourself, then they will release you into the public. But here's the thing: when it comes to entrepreneurship, we send people out, go and fail fast. And yes, people fail. Look at the statistics. When it comes to businesses that start and end, more businesses fail than thrive. Why? You cannot win in business until you master business development. You can stumble on one offer, you can stumble on one opportunity, you can sell one widget, you can sell two, you can sell five, you can even sell 10. But for you to do what Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos have done, or really Bill Gates, for you to do what they've done, you better go to the school of life that they've gone through. That's my point. That's just what today is about, is that the person that we are will need to be disrupted to become the person that has the capacity to attain our hopes, dreams, aspirations, and all of that. That's really what today was about. And I want to thank every single person. Today, every Wednesday, I'm also teaching at the Business and Leadership Academy, Nazaru.academy. So I'm going to wrap today's up earlier. I usually enjoy this so much, but I have to go and teach my students. Okay, this weekend I released the 37 questions, the entrepreneurs workbook, the questions that you need to answer step by step. So I'm going to go talk about that today to my members. But I just, I hope this helps. Really, let me get Miss Chrissy's reaction. I always love to hear from her. Definitely. And thank you to everybody else that has joined us today. I'm going to wrap this up within the next few minutes, but this has been an incredible I love this. I love this absolutely. Miss Chrissy, any reactions before we close this out?
Incredible as usual. The keep coming up and the pastor coming up and adding in the additional example. It made me chuckle that he went through the chicken cross the road analogy. I was like, and then you broke it down to like, yes, in order to cross the road, you have to look left, look right. And then I'm like, well, as human beings, we do that all the time. So we're constantly taking risks. Some we just got used to, and others we just told ourselves the story.
Wow.
And me, so it made me laugh. Like I make a big deal out of everything. I see the mountain, not the hill. I don't think about the steps that it takes to get to the mountain. I'm just frustrated that there's a mountain to climb. So all of this boils down to the stories that we tell ourselves. So I really enjoyed this conversation. And for Keith, breaking down the word fail, it helps. That absolutely helped me. So thank you so much for that.
That's incredible. Thank you so much. Because what if the family of the chicken told them our family never crossed the road? We've always been living on this side of the road. There are lions and tigers. There are lions and tigers on the other side of the road. Why do you want to cross? Stay here with us. Stay in our village. Our village. Haven't we been feeding you? You should be satisfied with all that we've done for you to make you feel comfortable. Listen, is it corn you want? We have abundance of corn. Is it worms you want? On this side of the road, there are worms, there are things. Imagine if the chicken now say, you know what? This side, you're right. I have worms, I have, corn, everything I want is being provided for me on this side of the road. And after all, there's actually danger in crossing this road. So let's all live happily ever after on this side of the road and never explore. This is what's happened to the children of Israelites, right? It's like, Egypt was comfortable. At least they gave us food. At least we didn't have to do this. At least this. At least. Take me back to, right? Woo! Stories. Hopefully we can see those stories right now and start disrupting them and say, no, you know what? There's something beyond yonder. I will take the risk. I will cross over, and then I will trust both in myself and the vision that God gave me, that beyond that road, there's something better there. Because here's the key: if what you're perceiving that is ahead is less than where you are, then please stay. Right? But if you perceive that there's more, That is where risk comes in, right? Is that story in the Bible of someone finding treasure in a field, and he was like, whoa, covered it up, sold all that he had to buy the field. That is risk taking. Is that the treasure always has to be greater than where we're coming. And that's what I found, is that the God that we serve is the God of be fruitful and multiply. What's coming next after fruitfulness is multiplication, is not division. Never division. That's the trust factor. Is that whatever journey God has ahead of you, the glory of the latter is always designed to be greater. God doesn't take you to less. Now, this is what I will explain though, which I did, I think, last week, is that the next level will make you become a student before you master, because what you're going after next is greater, requires great. So you've attained the level of success. Everybody listening to me, you are a successful person, meaning you've attained the level of success. You've pursued, you've attained, you have the degree, you have the job, you have all of those things. Fantastic. That is a muscle. What is ahead of you, okay, is greater than what you've attained. So the feeling of success, of being the top of your game, it feels great. It feels good to be the best of the best in class. Okay? What usually happens why we don't want to take a risk is we now have to become a student of something we don't know. We have to become a student of something we've never done before. We now have to humble ourselves, calm down from that top of high achievement, learn at the feet of those who have gone ahead of you. And this mountain is bigger than the mountain you attained before, right? You're going after Mount Kilimanjaro. You're going after the biggest mountain in the world. You're going up the pyramid of wealth. You're going up the pyramid of influence and success. Even Oprah had to do this. She had spent 25 years winning at the top of her game. Okay, Oprah Winfrey Show. The day she decided she wanted to stop that, disrupt that, and go after something else. Go and read about what Oprah had to go through. Today, she's mastered it and she's showing us mastery. But she had to, she went through pain. Pain. Pain, 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 pain. Oprah went through pain in pursuing the greater version of her today. Today, well, our past was about one show. Our future, our current, is multiple shows. So the Oprah we are actually all fantasizing has been long gone. Oprah disrupted Oprah Winfrey Show. One day, one show for 25 years. We fell in love with that version, and she didn't let that stop her. She disrupted the version of herself that the world loved in pursuit of today. Because what she was seeing was, if I'm going to keep sitting down doing this show, if my life is depending on me, on my show, what of the day I don't want to do show anymore? Does that mean my empire is gone? If this empire is dependent on just me, that is not right for me when I go into my 50s, 60s, 70s. I want to retire on the beach. What am I going to do? To do that, I must disrupt my one show and create a new platform that is designed around other people's show. I will produce shows for other people. I will take my lessons from my one show, and I will create all kinds of shows, and I will sit back and I will be saying, hello, everybody. How are you today? And then I will be interviewing the person I choose to interview. Okay? I will just be doing life on my own terms. Why? Because my life is not going to be built on just one show anymore. We will edge our risk. We will produce multiple shows. We will have our own platform, and we will just be feeding. So this new life that Oprah is living took risks, but you and I don't know. It's a greater life than the Oprah show that everybody knows about. That is risk. She disrupted everything everybody fell in love with in pursuit of a future that she saw for herself. But guess what? She failed before she mastered how to design and produce all this new show, because before she was only producing one show. Today, go check it out. Go check. But people don't talk about this stuff. These are real stuff. But we were all happy for with who she was. She wasn't happy with that. She wasn't satisfied. She has an hunger for a new version of her, and she disrupted that. Everybody was like, "Oh, what's going to happen?" She was like, keep crying. Me, I'm going. I'm leaving you. I've been there, done that. So that's just another. I know I'm laughing, but that's just another real world example of taking new risk, and it's well documented how she struggled when she was trying to do this, right? And I'm sure she also assumed, like we all did, that she had the capacity immediately to turn things around. But the truth is, if you are doing something you've never done before, like Mr. Kit was doing, you will learn on the job. Your first attempt will be, you will fail until you master, because mastery is what allows us, okay, to be able to win. For us to win a race, we must master. For us to win a fight, we must master. You cannot win out of failure. But we can learn, okay? We can learn, we can acquire the skill, we can train ourselves so that when we show up, we are better prepared so that we don't fail. So that's one thing I preach. Mastery is what I preach. That's why I give a ton of assignments, because my students, I want you to master this. And when you master entrepreneurship, this is what's guaranteed. You build multiple businesses. But when you don't master it, you're always going to be struggling and figuring out, what am I doing wrong? Why is this more painful? How come nobody told me about sales? I don't want to sell. I don't want to be out. I'm like, if you understand branding, marketing, the foundations, right? The fundamental, and you master it, not basic. Everybody understand basic. Basic is jump on reels and keep talking. That's fine. But once you start jumping on reels, be ready to do it for the next 5 years, because that's the strategy you've decided to design. Don't start anything that you cannot sustain, right? That is basic. Basic is not what I'm saying. Mastery is what I teach. When you master it, you will build one, you build two, and it's a lesson for life. It's a lesson for life. So that's what I really have the honor of doing every day and every week, is just trying to encourage people to pursue mastery in whatever discipline or in whatever it is they want to do in life. When you master it, it will not master you. Whatever you master, it will not master you. But we have to learn first. We have to become a student of life. We have to become a student. We have to learn, what have other people done? What have other entrepreneurs done? What are other successful people done? Well, if you want to go into politics, have other politicians done? What are they doing? What is the requirement of success in that dimension? When we start making inquiries of those things, then we can start opening ourselves to the knowledge, and then we can start practicing and moving in the direction of our hopes and dreams. So that's it. Thank you so much, Mr. Keith. Final words, and then Feline. Thank you, Coach. Thank you. Go on.
Sure. Quick ad. Oops, lost my earphone. Quick ad. One of the things that keeps us from exploring risk.
Sorry, you said what? You said, what are the things keeping us from exploring risk? Was that what you said, sir?
Yeah, I might drop my microphone here. But, what keeps us from exploring risk primarily is our midbrain, our fear center, our anxiety center, and it's referred to as limbic resistance. And if we get caught up in emotions around fear, anxiety, or angst, whatever we're feeling around taking the risk, is just do it anyway. Because we wait for the feeling to change, most likely it won't. And one good secret for success is when we get to that edge of whatever the fear, the angst, and the resistance is, double the intention or outcome or goal that we want, and take action anyway.
Wow.
Because if we're always just at that threshold and we only inch a little bit, we're going to make very slow progress.
Wow.
So if we double that expectation, double that intention, double that outcome, and take the first actionable step toward it anyway, even if our midbrain is offering that limbic resistance.
I love it.
That change will never get there.
I love it. That's what I call be a badass. Like that thing that wants to keep you, like, give it a nice blow. That's what you're saying. Sorry, I know I'm rephrasing. You said it.
I hear you. I know it's there. I know that's my little midbrain saboteur, but I'm going to do it anyway.
No, yes, like I would say, don't just do it anyway. Like I know what you're saying, but my attitude comes in. I come at it with an attitude. I'm like, I will whip you into shape. It's the same thing David did to the Goliath. Like, you Goliath, you're threatening me. I can see your size, and you're saying certain things that Goliath breeds fear every day. Don't do this. I'll crush you. I will do this. Well, being a badass, according to Toyin, according to Coach Toyin, is speak and go higher, go faster, dominate, right? Crush, go after that thing, apply more energy, give it another final push. Really, that's the final word today is take the risk, push anyway. If you push harder, maybe the walls will come down. Maybe the next blow, the next attempt, not giving up, right? On those dreams, those aspirations. Maybe that's what will crumble, right? Bring down the wall, show you light, give you the next dimension. And for me personally, what I've actually seen in a way is that God, in a way, didn't allow me to settle for the lesser version of me. That's what, maybe I'll talk about that another time. Is that the push to greater is saying, keep going, keep going. That version that needs to pull that thing off is not yet, we want to unlock, right? It's like when a seed falls to the ground, immediately the seed is not going to emerge, but there's a breaking down. There's first a degeneration before the final evolution, right? Metamorphosis, all of these things. We see these principles practiced in life. The caterpillar becoming the butterfly, but we forget the cocoon, the middle phase, the transformation, the unrecognizable middle phase when we are becoming, right? That's the most uncomfortable. Yes, Miss Chrissy, go on.
I have been in the cocoon phase for years, so
Wow.
I was just like, whoa, I know that phase, that darkness, that uncomfortable. You're not sure you want to make it out. You're not sure you want to give into the darkness. I've been there. So yeah.
Right, but you can't go. What Mr. Keats was saying, push harder. That's why even as moms, when you're having a baby, they're not telling you, okay, it's too hard, stay where you are, no more baby. No, 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 no. You've come to this betting position of the higher version of you. All you need to do is focus and push a little bit harder. You see, because many people that don't push, many cocoons that do not stretch, they die in that phase. That's the most dangerous phase to be, actually. The metamorphosis. There are times when you are looking, right, you just see cocoon empty, dried up. Why? That butterfly did not push. Something disrupted that transformation and they got stuck in the middle. Right? You can't be who you used to be. There ain't no going back, Miss Chrissy. For me, there ain't no going back. There's nothing. We've burnt that bridge. So I better push. I better work hard. I better show up. I better give it my all plus some. I better push, pray, right? That's what the farmer does. The farmer has planted all his seed anyway. There's no going back. That seed is gone. So I better water. I better fertilize. I better hope. I better pray. Because if nothing happens, that's the end. But guess what? Life comes after. That's why the principle of life, sowing and reaping. When you sow a seed, depending on what you sow, if you sow a corn, you will eat that corn the year. But if you sow cocoa, that takes 5 years. 5 years. If you want to build a bridge, a small bridge will take limited time. If your life, the bigger your stake, the bigger the things you want to do, guess what? You will cook yourself, you will simmer, which is also why I continue to say that social media is conditioning us to skim, skip, right? Scroll, it's bits and pieces, and that's never going to do all these things we're saying about. Like scrolling and skipping You need real meat, real meat to bring down and tear down Goliath. But anyway, thank you so much, everyone. I'm going to close out the main live stream, and then we'll engage in a little bit of discussion on Clubhouse, and then I'll see you again tomorrow. God bless you all. Bye.